Everybody ready? Okay. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Virginia City Council Chambers. Those are here in the audience and those who are listening at home. This is a regularly scheduled City Council meeting. I'll call this meeting to order. Today's date is Tuesday, March 26, 2024. The time is 5:30 p.m. Pam, would you please take the roll call?
Motley. Here. Friedlieb is absent. Paulson.
Present.
Yondich.
Present.
Johnson.
Here.
Baranzelli. Cuffey.
Present. Would anyone please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We'll move to item 4 on the agenda, which is a public forum. This is an opportunity for anyone from the general public like to come up and address the council this evening. You're welcome to do so at this time. Does anybody in the audience wish to speak before the council this evening? Seeing none, move to item 5 on the agenda, which is the consent agenda. The following items will be enacted by one motion unless a councilor or a citizen of the City of Virginia requests that the item be considered separately. Item 5.1 is the approval and corrections of the minutes of the regular meeting that was held on March 12, 2024. Item 5.2, adoption of finance resolution number 24-006, the schedule of bills. Item 5.3, approve the following travel requests that are budgeted for 2024. 5.3A, John Swenson, the community police officer, to attend the Minnesota Juvenile Officers Association Conference June 10th through the 14th, 2024 in Duluth at a cost of $650. Item 5.3B, Community Officer John Swenson to attend the Minnesota Crime Prevention Association Conference on October 2nd and 3rd, 2024 in Brainerd, Minnesota at a cost of $700. And item 5.3C, Officer Henry Trunk from the Virginia Police Department to attend the Human Trafficking Investigation course April 3rd and 4th in Hermantown at a cost of $250. These are the consent agenda items before the council today. Looking for council action.
Move the consent agenda.
Councilor Johnson moves to approve the consent agenda. Is there support?
Support.
By Councilor Motley. Is there any further discussion? Councilor Paulson.
Mayor, I would like to pull 5.1 for further discussion, if I might.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Paulson. Councilor Paulson is requesting to pull 5.1 for further discussion, which is the approval correction of the minutes of the regular meeting that was held on March 12, 2024. Looking for a motion to approve items 5.2 and 5.3. Was already moved and supported. Was there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carries. Item 5.1, Councilor Paulson.
Thank you, Mayor. So on page 20 of our packet, I just wanted to point out on the manual checks, the manual checks dated 2/24/24 through 3/6/2024 were voted on last meeting where I recused myself. So this is redundant, and so the only approval of the manual checks would be from 3/13/24 on. So therefore, then I would not have to recuse myself from this vote.
Right.
So those were the 4 checks on page 16 under manual checks. Those we approved at the last city council meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Just wanted to point that out for clarification.
Thank you, Councilor Paulson. So looking for motion, huh? Well, Pam?
Okay, so 5.1 for the minutes is what actually got taken off the consent agenda, and 5.2 is the schedule of bills. So everything was approved.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
So can I redo that?
You
at
just need a
5.2?
motion to approve the minutes then.
Okay, so moved.
Moved by Councilor Paulson to approve the minutes. Thank you, Pam, for the clarification. Supported by Councilor Baranzelli. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Aye, opposed, motion carries. Thank you. Item 6 is appearances. no one's scheduled to be here before the council today. There is another opportunity for you from the audience to speak if you wish to do so. If you'd like to speak, please come forward at this time. Seeing none, we'll move to item 7, which is unfinished business. Item 7.1, the clinic lease. Britt or Brian, do we have any additional information or updates from our negotiations with Essentia Health with respect to this lease?
Mayor, I don't believe there's any updates at this time other than to say we have a meeting coming up this Thursday at 1 o'clock to continue that conversation.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from the council with respect to the clinic lease? Okay, move to item 7.2, the property located at 410 Fifth Street South. Brian, we had a brief conversation earlier. I know that you're trying to be in communication with legal counsel. Could you have any other information you could share for the audience and for the council?
Thank you, Mayor. No additional update at this time other than I'll be in contact with Mr. Sundquist on behalf of Mr. Toman.
And we're still moving forward with the same schedule with respect to the ordinance, following the ordinance with respect to that. Okay, thank you. Anything from Mr. Kingsley? I see you there. You're in the audience this evening. Please come forward, put the light on the green, and thank you for coming. And once again, welcome.
Thank you, Bruce Kingsley. So last time we talked about what that schedule was, and someone was going to get that information to me, and I guess I never got that, so I don't know what the schedule of fines or events that are going on at that property are. Does anyone?
Brian?
Thank you, Mayor. I can look at the schedule and I'll get you an update.
I would appreciate that. And I'd also like to know at the end of the 6-month period, I think I asked that last time, if the work's not completed, what are the repercussions for that? As of right now, there's been no work on that property in over a month. They had 1 day of emptying garbage, hauled out all their tools in the garbage can, and nobody's been there since. So I'm not real optimistic anything's going to get done. Yeah, if you could give me that, I would appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Paulson, and then over to Councilor Beyondich. Councilor Paulson.
Thank you, Mayor. So for clarification, that the building permit was issued when?
I don't recall off the top of my head.
Okay.
That's why I've got
And
to
I'm sorry, I
research and
didn't
get
prep
the
you
dates.
for that.
And then
I
Jenny's
asked you that
not
in
here,
advance.
so she might have been able to get some information, but
Okay,
she's not.
so we'll get that information, and then from the date that it was approved, what is the time span for completion? Is it a 6-month permit? Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilor Paulson. Councilor Beyondich, same question?
It was the same question, and I know when we had discussed it before, I don't know if we required or if we were going to get updates as things were done, or if we're just waiting that 6 months again.
My understanding was there was an agreement of a schedule to be some milestones for the work to be done, and there was going to be periodically inspected by our code official, our code enforcement office of the rental code property, and give us an update as in that regard. And then the other part of it is that the fine that was recommended by Planning and Zoning, which was approved to be implemented by the City of Virginia by a unanimous council vote. That fine continues to move forward. Is a time, is still a little bit of time before that has to be paid, or are we aware of that? But anyway, it has to be paid, and then the clock starts ticking once again with respect to the secondary part of the fine if these milestones aren't met. So it's my understanding that from our planning, permitting, code enforcement, that they were going to periodically inspect that. And I think that's the part of the updates that you're going to be providing to Mr. and Mrs. Kingsley. It is. Thank you. Thank you, Councilor Beyondich. Okay. Anything else on the property at 410 Fifth Street South? Okay, thank you. We'll move to item 8, discussion items. Item 8.1 is the permission to seek applications for baseball coaches and umpires. This is a summer program we have on a regular schedule. We have this every year. It's a park and recreation program. And I would ask Brian Silber, our Park and Rec Director, is here this evening to give us a little an update, some analysis, some information regarding this decision moving forward. Mr. Silber, welcome.
Good evening, Council. We have completed registration for our summer baseball program. Now, this is the baseball program at the Babe Ruth, VFW, and Legion levels. So these are the older kids, not the little kids that are a lot of fun to watch, but this is your equivalent to middle school and high school baseball. Numbers are right at the same numbers that they were last year, so we are needing to hire 5 head baseball coaches. We will have 3 teams at the Babe Ruth level and 1 team at both the VFW and the Legion level. So in addition to hiring the 5 head coaches, I would also appreciate the council's approval to begin to seek out umpires and begin scheduling them so that we can get on their schedules and so that I am not having to be out there calling balls and strikes, because nobody really wants that.
Okay, thank you, Brian. So the question I have is, first of all, is the process the same as it was last year? The application process and the compensation is all the same as it was the previous year, or is there some changes in that regard?
Nope. Application process is the same. They're classified as independent contractors. Compensation is the same. So we just need to begin the process of getting the word out there so that coaches will apply.
Thank you, Brian. Councilor Johnson?
I will move that staff hire the appropriate staff for summer baseball.
Councilor Johnson moves to approve permission to seek applicants for the baseball coaches and umpires for the summer baseball season. Moved by Councilor Johnson. Is there support? By Councilor Motley. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Brian. Item 8.2, adopt a resolution to approve the submittal of a grant from the Virginia Foundation for the Alcott Park Lions Club Building Residing Project. This is a recommendation that came from the Park and Rec Commission.
I'll make that motion.
Councilor Motley makes the motion to approve the resolution to submit a grant for this project. Is there support? By Councilor Barnzelli. Is there any further discussion? Councilor Paulson.
Thank you, Mayor. Do we have an estimation of cost for reciting, Brian?
Yes, materials are going to be right above $4,000. Our city staff will be doing the labor, so I'm going to write into the grant. Our portion of the match is the in-kind service. Altogether, the total project budget would be around $8,000. We'll be asking for $4,000, right around the $4,000 figure, which is for the supplies for the project.
Mayor.
Thank you, Councilor Paulson. It has been moved and supported. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Councilor Beyondich.
I would like to recuse myself from that vote, please.
Okay. So we have a vote of 5 of yeas, 1 recusal because of your involvement with the Virginia Foundation, and 1 absent. So the motion passes. Thank you. Next item, item number 8.3, adopt a resolution approving a submittal of a grant to the Culture and Tourism Grant Program of the Iron Range Resources Rehabilitation for Music in the Park for 2024. This was recommended, another recommendation from the Park and Rec Commission to submit a grant to the IRRR to help fund the costs associated with music in the park for the summer season.
So moved.
Move to approve by Councilor Beyondich. Is there support? By Councilor Barnzelli. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Brian. Item 8.4 is adopt a resolution to approve the bid from Bugalis and Sons for the demolition of 225 Second Street North in the amount of $24,562.
So moved.
Move to approve by Counselor Paulson. Is there support? By Counselor Johnson. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 8.5, adopt a resolution approving the contract with the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, also known as AFSCME, for a contract for period January 1, 2024 through December 31st, 2026. Looking for a motion.
So moved.
Move to approve by Counselor Johnson. Is there support?
Support.
Support by Counselor Motley. Further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Now the resolution has been passed. I'll be signing the contract immediately following the council meeting, so thank you. Okay, let's move to item number 9, committee reports. Item 9.1, the Committee of the Whole meeting that was held on March 19th, 2024. We'll turn this portion of our city council meeting over to our city administrator, Britt C. Bennis. Britt?
Thank you. On March 19th, 2024, we met with Mark Franta from Hawkins Incorporated regarding an update on the wastewater treatment plant chemical trial that we started in February. It had been almost 4 weeks, and the effluent is a consistent 0.04. The reading needs to be under 0.07, so it looks like it's doing a good job. Paul Christensen spoke a little bit more about some updates that might be needed if we decide to go with this particular material. It was moved and supported to allow city staff to continue to work with Hawkins and People Service during the trial period and determine potential upgrades when and if needed at the wastewater treatment plant.
So we're extending the pilot program and then making a judgment on what the costs associated for the upgrades to continue with this once the trial period is over, correct?
Correct.
Thank you. Looking for council action.
I will move to continue working with.
Moved by Counselor Johnson and supported by Counselor Beyondich. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. Matt Reeder, engineer of record from SCH, was present to discuss the proposed projects for street improvements that were actually the 2023 street improvements that will now be done in 2024. The first one, it was moved and supported to approve the resolution to award the 6th Avenue North and 17th Street South construction project to Mesabi Bituminous in the amount of $3,028,895.61.
So moved.
Move to approve by Counselor Johnson. Is there support?
Support.
By Counselor Paulson. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Mr. Reed did point out there's federal funding that we had received for 10th Avenue South and 13th Street South construction project, and they required extra steps in regards to the funding for the contractor, which drove up the cost just a little bit more than the engineer's estimate was planned for. The MnDOT did approve, from the time of the committee of the whole meeting to this council meeting, MnDOT did approve the extra costs that we were going to be encumbering from their federal grant. It was moved and supported to approve the resolution to award the 10th Avenue South and 13th Street South construction project to Casper Construction in the amount of $3,770,000.
So moved.
Move to approve by Counselor Johnson. Is there support?
Support.
Support by Counselor Motley. Is there any further discussion? Thank you for the state stepping in for some additional funding to cover some of the costs associated with the overbid or the cost overrun, or bid overrun, so that helps significantly. So it has been moved and supported. Is there any further discussion? Counselor Paulson.
Mayor, I just wanted to ask, how much do we retain 10% upon substantial completion or final completion then?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Counselor Paulson. Moved and supported. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
It was moved and supported to approve the resolution for the professional services agreement with SCH for the 6th Avenue North and 17th Street South construction project in the amount of $230,000.
So moved.
Moved to approve by Counselor Johnson. Support
Support.
by Counselor Beyondich. Thank you. Further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
It was moved and supported to approve the resolution for the professional services agreement for 10th Avenue South and 13th Street South construction with SCH in the amount of $256,000.
So moved.
Move to approve by Counselor Johnson, support by
Support.
Counselor Paulson. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. Reed did point out that the alley project that we had been looking at completing with CDBG money and also federal funds that was scheduled for 2024 will now be scheduled for 2025. Because of the time elapsed, we may have to do an additional public hearing. The good news about that is that when we do the second public hearing, we could also put them under the new policy that we passed also. So that is a good thing as well. The new improvement policy and the new assessment policy.
And we'll be notifying all the people that are affected by that project
Correct.
of the delay. Thank you.
Correct. Ms. Jenny Bourbonnais, our community development coordinator, was at the meeting to discuss 5 properties that are on the tax forfeit county list listed as non-conservation or conservation, wanting to go to non-conservation. The state and the county have now figured out that they can start working on getting rid of some of these tax forfeited parcels again. After discussion, it was moved and supported to approve reclassifying 4 residential properties on the non-conservation list from St. Louis County.
So moved.
Move to approve by Counselor Johnson, supported by Counselor Barnzelli. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by, I'm sorry, Counselor Paulson, Jeff, okay, I'm sorry. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
It was moved and supported to send a request to leave the commercial property known as the former Mirage Bar on the non-conservation list for St. Louis County.
So moved.
By Counselor Johnson, moves to approve. Is there support by Counselor Motley? Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
The city, like a lot of businesses downtown here in the downtown core district, did get our notices about a potential steam conversions or our required steam conversions that'll be coming in 2026. It was moved and supported to direct staff to devise a plan for each of the city-owned buildings regarding future steam conversions.
So moved.
Move to approve by Counselor Johnson. Is there support? By Counselor Beyondich. Further discussion? I understand you had a preliminary meeting this afternoon with respect to this very subject.
We did, yeah. The meeting we had today was with Teresa Applewick from the Chamber, Greg French from the Public Utilities, and Jenny Bourbonnais, our Community Development Coordinator. Teresa and Greg and Jenny and I have all been working to try to get political support from our legislators to give us funding because the downtown district is a very, I want to say it politely, blighted district where the tax base is not as high as it normally would be. So a lot of these conversions in these buildings are going to be much higher than the value of the building. So we're trying to figure out a way that we can get some funds to assist these buildings to get converted.
Okay, thank you. Counselor Beyondich.
Just a quick question. Do you have you had contact with these building owners?
No, and actually we're going to be talking about that at VITA next week. I have a survey that I started that I want to send out to these building owners. Mr. French from the Public Utilities is going to give me the list of the utility list, the contact people, so I can get that survey to them. And we want to ask them, have you gotten quotes yet? And if you have, what is the ballpark price? Because the legislators are asking us that price too. So right now we're guessing that based on a regular size building downtown of one lot building, we're guessing about 60,000. But then the bigger ones, we're thinking 300 or plus. So bigger ones being like the Teeny Square and the Coates Hotel and the Lincoln Building. So it's quite hefty.
Or is there outside funding that we'd have access to help them with that?
We're trying to get legislative money from the legislators. We did speak to Representative Igo, and he is interested in helping us try to find a way to get there. So we're going to be working on that with him.
And we do have a very small amount of money that we've asked for in the budget for the City Hall upgrades, and that would probably have to be utilized most likely for steam conversion. And it's $1.7 million. It's still in the bonding bill. It's gone through. It is in the governor's bill for that purpose. So we'll see where that goes. But that's the only money that's available right now that's in that we requested in the bonding bill through our lobbyists, through our local legislatures, Senator Hochschild, Representative Lizagard. So we'll be asking them to help us and carry the ball a little more, along with Representative Igo, to get some additional funding from the legislature for this project. Counselor Beyondich.
Just one more question. Are the people on this Main Street aware of this happening?
They've all been sent the same letters that we got that were in our packet.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Counselor Beyondich. Okay. It was moved and supported, and there's further discussion? None? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
At the committee, the whole meeting, we had discussion on our monthly financial reports from February 2024, and I just want to point out again, if you look at those reports, the 2023 year has not been closed yet because our audit starts next week. So we will get that closed hopefully soon here. Once the auditors get here and do our year-end adjustments, then we can get that figured out. So our reports will be a little more like our normal ones. We have discussed at the committee the whole meeting a vehicle tracking policy that was in your packet for review. This is coming about because the newer vehicles all have those. If you have a very new vehicle, you know that you can start your car from your app. You can see if your door is open with your app, and you can do all these things with your app. But all these things also create data. So we have to create a plan or a policy of how we're going to treat that data and how we're going to store it. So in your packet, there was a copy of that policy that was brought to the committee the whole meeting.
Thank you, Brad.
Moved.
Counselor Motley move to approve. Is there support? Is there support? Supported by Counselor Paulson. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
It was moved and supported to adopt a resolution to hire Patrol Officer Madison Sand contingent upon successfully passing the background and pre-employment physical and post-board licensure.
So moved.
This is a replacement police officer for one who has left. Moved by Counselor Johnson. Is there support?
Support.
By Counselor Motley. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
It was moved and supported to approve a resolution to hire Patrol Officer Joshua Colazzi contingent upon successfully passing the background, pre-employment physical, and post-board licensure.
So moved.
Moved to approve by Counselor Johnson. Is there support?
Support.
By Counselor Paulson. Further discussion? We're going to hire one immediately. The other two are be a little bit later on down the road because they're still in the second year of their law enforcement school over in Hibbing. And so it'll be, once they complete that program, they'll be going through their post-board licensure, and then we'll go from there. So it'll be one first, and then this other one, and the next one coming up a little later on. So it has been moved and supported to adopt a resolution to hire Patrol Officer Joshua Colazzi. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
It was moved and supported to adopt a resolution to hire Patrol Officer Ella Rose Del Greco contingent upon successfully passing the background, pre-employment physical, and post-board licensure.
So moved.
Moved to approve by Counselor Johnson. Is there support? By Counselor Beyondich. Is there any further discussion? All these are replacement officers who have left the department. So all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
We had discussion at the meeting regarding garbage potential refunds for garbage rates, and city staff were directed to provide information on the credit amounts if we were to look at a 1 week, 2 week, or 3 week refund for residential and commercial garbage. I did provide that information. If the council so chooses to do something.
Yeah, you did provide us the information with respect to the credit for a 1, 2, or 3 week refund period. We have done some significant discussions about that. You have at staff level about that. In your packet is the amount of money that would be rebated for the loss of that garbage. I think we have to bring that back to staff to redirect. So it's those who were adversely affected by the garbage rule, which aren't as many as we originally anticipated, and that if any adjustment is going to be made, it'll be made on a case-by-case basis. So looking for moving forward with that or some other form from the council. Councilor Johnson.
Mayor, what process would that be? You said there was a process for looking at it individually. I'd like to know people need to know what that process
Sure,
is.
I think the staff was talking about the process. I think one of the processes was that if you incurred a significant cost associated with garbage removal, whether it's residential or commercial, that you could submit a request for reimbursement. Say, for the example, a local gas station brought in their own refuge, like Waste Management, and they paid a fee for that to have that garbage removed. That they could potentially submit for reimbursement, the cost associated with that, partially reimbursement for that. I think that's what staff was discussing, and I think it's got to come back to us for additional consideration. So that was just.
And the reason I ask is I guess I wasn't aware that there were any other discussions happening about that. So I guess I will move to put this on the Committee of the Whole agenda so the council can talk about it next week.
Yeah, thank you, Councilor Johnson. Is there support for that? Is there support? Councilor Barnzelli will support. Further discussion? Here, Councilor Motley.
After seeing the weekly breakouts of what it would be for the full month, it's obviously, in my opinion, unaffordable to give breaks for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. I would be fine with supporting going forward if somebody had a receipt from the county or whatever. And if they don't have a receipt from the county, they can get a copy of their check and bringing it to Brit or something for reimbursement. But I don't think it adversely affected as many people as we thought. So that's the only reason I'm going to be voting no on this. So thank you, Larry, or Mayor.
Yeah, thank you, Councilor Motley. I think the goal is to have staff come back to move this topic back to the communal meeting for additional discussion on what we want or what we don't want to do. So all the council is on board with the same discussion of how we move forward, if we decide to move forward, and what action we should be taking. So that was the gist of the motion. Is that correct, Councilor Johnson?
Yes, further discussion.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, sorry. Misunderstood. I'll be voting yes.
It has been moved and supported. Yeah, thank you. And is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, thank you. No further items on the Committee of the Whole agenda. We'll move to item 9.2, which is the Personnel Committee. Personnel Committee met today at 8 a.m., Tuesday, March 26, 2024, and there was a quorum present. One member was absent due to a medical issue, and so there was a quorum of two, and the mayor sat in as well in place of Councilor Freely. So we'll turn this portion of the Personnel Committee over to the current Personnel Committee Chair, Councilor Paulson. And Councilor Paulson serves as the committee chair. Councilor Freely and Councilor Biondi chair on the Personnel Committee as well. Councilor Paulson.
Thank you, Mayor. Would it be all right if I went back in our packet to page 145 regarding spongy moths?
Where are we at?
It wasn't on the agenda, but it's in our packet on page 145. And I don't know if Britt wanted to just make an announcement.
Go ahead, Councilor Paulson. What would you like to discuss with respect to the spongy moth?
That there were dates put out that we needed to alert the citizens that they could get information.
Oh, okay.
We did get a press release from the Department of Agriculture stating that they are going to be doing 42 areas in Minnesota targeted for spongy moth treatments in 2024. So they'll be conducting a series of informational meetings to talk about the insect and the treatment methods. In Virginia here, the one they'll be conducting is on April 8th, 2024 from 4 to 6 p.m. at Iron Trail Motors Event Center. Please stop on by. It's an open house kind of thing where you don't have to, it's not a big, large presentation. You just come in and talk to the people that are there. They'll have some information up regarding the moth, what they're trying to do and what the process is. So please feel free to come on by and get some information about the spongy moth.
Thank you. Could you repeat the time and the date once again, please, Britt?
April 8th, 2024 from 4 to 6 p.m. at the Iron Trail Motors Event Center.
April 8th, 4 to 6?
Yep.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilor Paulson.
Thank you, Mayor. We met this morning, and item A was adopt a resolution approving a letter of understanding with the ASME Union for commercial driver's license training and job bidding. And we added some language that the Personnel Committee felt comfortable with after discussing it with staff. And so at this point, I think we could go ahead. I would be fine with moving forward to approve the LOU with ASME Union.
Okay, that is your motion?
That would be my motion.
Motion by Counselor Paulson to adopt a resolution approving the LOU with the ASME Union with respect to commercial driver license training and job bidding. Is there support? Is there support? Support by Counselor Johnson. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Then item B, we reviewed vacant positions within the city departments in the library, finance, and also public works. At this point, I think we made a motion to bring it to the committee of the whole for further discussion and approval on all of those. We changed some job descriptions with the library, also with the finance, and public works, I think, was just a mechanic position. So we had approved that to move forward with the to the committee of the whole. So I would make a motion to, I guess, the whole item B, review vacant positions in the city under library, finance, and public works, and move it forward to the committee of the whole.
Okay, very good. Thank you. And at your meeting, the ASME representatives were available for comment and discussion as well.
That is correct.
Well, thank you. So it's, your motion is to move this to the next committee of the whole meeting for further discussion for the entire council. By that time, you'll have all the information disseminated to the rest of the council for discussion. So is there support for that?
Support.
By Councilor Motley. Is there any further discussion? Hearing, seeing none, all those in favor, Councilor Johnson?
Pam, would you read back the motion, please?
Moved by Counselor Paulson, supported by Counselor Motley to approve moving forward the items from the committee of the whole meeting regarding vacant positions in the city, which is the library, finance, and public works.
So does that include the internal position for public works as well? Or can we approve the internal posting tonight for that?
Well, you probably could, but the recommendation by the Personnel Committee is to move it to the committee of the whole meeting, but you're welcome to make the motion now.
I'm just thinking that there's nothing changing for the internal posting for the mechanics, correct? So I would like to see us get that filled as soon as possible. So I'd ask that the mechanic position be done separately so we can get that posted.
Okay, Mayor,
Thank you.
Please, Councilor Paulson.
I would amend my motion to remove, remove the public works to the committee of the whole. So just the other items.
Okay, and then we'll, okay, you go, so the motion is to review the vacant position of the library and finance and move that to the committee of the whole meeting for additional discussion. That was moved, and who supported that? Support, Councilor Motley, so that you're fine with that?
I'd be fine amending my motion or
Very
support.
good.
Yep.
Okay, so we'll move on that motion first, and then we'll go to the mechanics motion next. So moved and supported to vacant positions for library and finance, move that to the committee of the whole meeting for additional discussion by the city council. And is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. 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 Opposed? Motion carries. Now let's move to the public works position. Councilor Paulson.
Thank you, Mayor. I will go ahead and move the mechanic position forward for, it would be internal posting first going forward. Thank you.
Very good. Motion by Councilor Paulson to post internally the mechanics position in the public works. It's supported by Councilor Johnson. Is there any further discussion? Councilor Motley.
Britt or Sherry, just to refresh, when they post internally, do they have to be qualified for the position? Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. So it has been moved and supported. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Councilor Paulson.
Thank you. And the final item was item C, which was Brian Silber, our Park and Rec Director, came forward. We had an organizational chart in our packet of the existing organizational structure. And I guess Brian just gave us an update that he'd like to have the council approve moving forward with continued discussion with staff regarding reorganization at the Iron Trail Motors Event Center. So that was the recommendation going forward, to continue to allow staff to work toward reorganization and bring it to the next, I thought it was a personnel committee. So I don't know if that needs to be voted on or,
Yeah. Motion?
okay, I'll make that motion. Thank you.
Motion by Counselor Paulson. Is there support?
Support.
By Counselor Motley. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. That's anything else out of personnel?
That was
Counselor
all,
Paulson?
Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, move to item 10, Commission Liaison Reports. Is there any counselor like to give a Commission Liaison report this evening? Counselor Motley.
Not a whole lot, but I was at the Public Utilities meeting yesterday, and they did ratify their contract with AFSCME. Otherwise, not a whole lot else to report there. And as far as Parks and Rec, the only thing I can think of that stands out in my mind is Gabe Zika, the president of Parks and Rec, is working diligently on bringing in a half marathon August 17th in Virginia. So there'll be more information as approval goes forward. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Counselor Motley. Okay, so any other Commission Liaison reports on the part of the council? Seeing none, we'll move to department head reports. Does any department have a report they'd like to give? First, we'll go from left to right, and then we'll go on to the items we see. We have two of our staff directors here. Anything further from you, Britt? Anything from legal?
Nothing from legal.
Thank you. Pam, any announcements with respect to election or anything? No. And I know the auditor's coming soon, and we're using the same auditing firm? Okay, any other comments with respect to finance? Okay, thank you. Any other department head reports that someone would like to give today? Jody Gribanowski, our library director, is here. Welcome, Jody, and thank you.
Thank you. I just have a few updates. So this week, on the 28th, we do have Carving Your Clan. It's a limited, we still have about 3 or 4 spots. If you are interested, call the library tomorrow at 218-748-7525. And he's a Ojibwe artist who is going to, yes, it is for adults. Sharp implements will be used, so it is not for children, and that's from 1 to 4 on the 28th. The biggest update is next week, starting April 1st, the library hours have been updated. The library will be closed on Mondays. We will be open Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 10 to 6, Friday, 10 to 5, and Saturdays, 10 to 2. If you have any questions about the hours, please give us a call at 218-748-7525. Also, next week, we've got family story time again, so if you have any questions about the events, stop by the library, pick up a monthly calendar. It's online, or again, just give us a call and we can get you connected with whichever resource or event you're looking for.
Okay, thank you, Jody. Brian Silber, our Park and Rec Director. Brian?
Good evening. It is a great day to be a Park and Rec kid, or adult for that matter. Wanted to let you guys know that this week, Friday, is the last day for bands to be able to submit their applications for Music in the Park for 2024. At last count, and I quit counting a couple weeks ago, we were at 32 bands having submitted applications for the 13 dates that we have available. Now, these are both local, regional, statewide, and national acts that have submitted applications to play in Olcott Park this summer. So it is going to be an exciting summer in Olcott Park with Music in the Park. Not only that, but in case you've been asleep for the past couple of weeks, you may have missed a couple of things that went on at the Iron Trail Motors Event Center. We hosted not 1, not 2, not 3, I'm going to quit counting here, but we hosted a whole slew of banquets. a whole lot of corporate trainings and seminars. In addition to that, we were the site for the Bantam AA regional tournament, the Bantam A state hockey tournament, and this past weekend, we finished our ice season with a phenomenal figure skating program, which was a huge success, bringing in over $27,000 of revenue for the city between registrations, ticket admissions, and concessions that day. I will be putting together a profit and loss statement for that event for you so that you see how well our figure skating community supports the city of Virginia and our park department. I also wanted to let you know that we have a couple of public events coming up at the Iron Trail Motors Event Center. The first thing that we have going on is this Saturday, there is a rummage sale going on in the Chevy Arena. How is the rummage sale going on? Sadly enough, we no longer have ice in the arena. We have 2 dry floors as of tonight. So we are starting our dry floor season in the event center. So this Saturday is the rummage sale. Next weekend, April 5th, 6th, and 7th, we will be the host site for the 2024 Minnesota State Archery Tournament. This is the first time the city of Virginia has hosted the state archery tournament. Great thing, and the only reason we can do it is because our staff continues to knock events out of the park and exceed our customers' expectations in the building. Right after the state archery tournament, come get your information about those spongy maws that next day on April 8th. Yet another exciting, enthralling public event that you can come to. And if that isn't exciting enough for you, wait till that next weekend when we are going to be rocking the house and the town as the Northwood Bands opens up for Hairball. Get your tickets online today. We are looking forward to raising the roof of the Iron Trail Motors Event Center that evening. Earlier in the day, if you feel like learning a little bit about yourself or some natural healing methods, you can come to Body Lab. They will be in the ballroom doing a public event. If that's not enough public events for you, we'll keep going. Still within the next 30-day window, a little event called Earth Day is coming up. So we are again going to be the host site for Earth Fest on April 20th. On April 23rd, we are the host site for the Healthy Teen Conference. And on the 25th, we will be having a job fair. All of these are open to the public and everybody is encouraged to attend. Now, there are also some things that are not open to the public, such as those private parties. We have not one, not two, I'll quit counting again. We have weddings coming up in the next 30 days. That should make you happy, Councilor Paulson, because you kept saying how many weddings you wanted to see. We've got several this month for you to attend. In addition to that, we have corporate trainings and more private events that are coming in the event center. So it is a great day to be a Park and Rec kid. It's a great day to be working at the Iron Trail Motors Event Center. We look forward to seeing each and every one of you at many of these public events that are coming up in the next 30 days. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. That was exciting, very passionate, high level. Okay. All right, thank you. Any other department head reports today? I'll move to the next item then on the agenda, item 12, council reports. Does any councilor like to give a report this evening? Okay, thank you. We'll move to some announcements. I have a few, so please bear with me moving forward. I promised your marketing director, Bree, that I would also announce the Hairball coming to the Iron Trail Motors Event Center, which is Saturday, April 13th, 2024. Tickets are $39 in advance, $49 at the door, and gate opens at 6, music begins at 7. So Next is, again, I'd like to comment about the skating show. I had the opportunity to attend both Friday and Saturday. I only I was only going to go Friday, but it was a phenomenal event. It was packed in there, and the quality of skating and the organization and the entire program was phenomenal. I mean, it was a really great event, and it was packed in there. So I had the opportunity to go both Friday and Saturday. So whoever put that on, all the coaches, and Brian, you were there for days and nights, and I had an opportunity to sit up in the booth on Saturday afternoon and have a little conversation with the skating coaches, and as they were really organizing and running the show. So thank you. You did all the lights, you did the announcing and all those kind of things in conjunction with the skating show, and these skaters were absolutely phenomenal. There was some solo performers at the levels that were at our high levels, so some gold medal performers. So thanks for putting that on, and we look forward to another show next year as well. So, and then I want to address a article, a letter to the editor that was submitted by a former fire chief for the city of Virginia regarding the new fire EMS public safety building. I believe that this gentleman had some erroneous information in the letter to the editor. Just to let the public know, and I received some calls, I don't know if other councilors is as well, but no, we do have sleeping quarters for our EMS people. We're not making them sleep in the lobby or in the command bays or inside the ambulance. It's a professional place for them to sleep. I don't know where this information comes from, but we'll be discussing and getting an update from Wold and Kraus Anderson and our fire and police chief at the April 2nd committee of the whole meeting. So hopefully we'll clarify some of those things. So just to let the public know that the information that was disseminated there, it was inaccurate. So let's move on to the next item, which is the county assessor. Obviously, many of you who are sitting in this audience, listening at home, and many of us who have homes in Virginia received our property tax statements. We have had a preliminary meeting with the St. Louis County. They're going to be coming to our April 16th committee of the whole meeting. Mary Garnis, the director of the assessor's office out of Duluth, Brian Grahek, the supervisor here in Virginia, and Brandon Larson, the auditor office, will be here at the committee of the whole meeting on April 16th to explain how this system works, how they arrive at these values. And so I encourage everyone to come to this meeting and get some more information. They're going to provide us some kind of a presentation with respect to that. So look forward to that. It's April 16th. It's 9 o'clock in the morning here at the City Council chambers. The St. Louis County auditors, the assessors will be here. City Hall is closed on Friday for Good Friday. And so the last item is EMS. So as you are or may not be aware that in the state legislature, there's a task force that's been established statewide to look at emergency medical services and how EMS is provided and how what their staffing model is and their revenue expenditure streams and how that has an adverse effect on the EMS that's being delivered all across the state of Minnesota, but particularly in northeast Minnesota. And so we've had a number of Zoom calls. The council has sent me down to the legislature to testify at some hearings with respect to that and to some public events with the news media. And so they're on track to move with trying to find some model in the long term to try and help our EMS system out. But in the short term, Representative Liz Lagarde and Senator Hochschild have both proffered bills in the House and the Senate to fund temporarily funding in this legislative session, payable in 2025, $120 million for statewide EMS as a stopgap measure moving forward. And so we had a Zoom call today with the Coalition of Greater Minnesota Cities. Eric Simonson, a former legislator, is now a lobbyist for the coalition. and Bradley Peterson, who is a staff attorney and director at the Coalition of Greater Minnesota Cities. And they talked to the cities of Virginia, Hibbing, International Falls, Nashwauk, and Evelyn, and laid out the plan moving forward. So the bills that are coming through the legislature, now there's 3 weeks left, so a lot can happen in that 3 weeks. There's a $120 million companion bill with the House and the Senate. The governor has released his bill, and in his bill, there's $16 million for this EMS. So they're working on changing that into negotiations. So make a long story short, there's a funding formula that's being used, and so there are 21 PSAs service areas, public safety service areas in Northeast Minnesota. 14 of those 21 operated as a deficit in 2022 and in 2023. So the way it's divided up, at least proposal right now, that could change, that almost $12 million will come to Northeast Minnesota to be distributed among the 14 different EMS services that have that lost money. And the money will be based upon what our losses were at the end of 2022. So say, for the example, the city of Virginia's ambulance losses was $500,000. And I don't know what the exact amount is, but say for the sake of argument, it's $500,000. Based on this formula, based on the current funding levels that are being requested, we would get completely reimbursed for that loss we had in 2022. And so that would help us in 2023 as well, and moving forward in 2024 as this committee tries to work on finding a new staffing model of providing EMS across the state of Minnesota. And there's two areas you're looking at. One is advanced life support, ALS, and the other is BLS, basic life support. Volunteers, paid on call, paid volunteers, full-time BLS, which are EMTs, and full-time ALS, which we have full-time BLS EMTs and full-time ALS. And we have firefighter paramedics, we have single role paramedics, and we have emergency medical technicians, EMTs. So we would, based on this current formula, we would reap that kind of a benefit. So we won't know till the legislative session is over, but they're keeping us informed, and as we get kept informed and updated by the Coalition of Greater Minnesota Cities, and as this bill moves through committee, we'll let everybody know where we're at moving forward. So I thank the council for allowing the opportunity to go down there and testify on behalf. It was important that we did. Senator Rest, the senator of the tax committee down there, was grateful that we came down in person as opposed to presenting in Zoom, which many of the departments did. But we were able to provide in-person interviews. So stay tuned for that, and thank you everybody for moving forward. And one last thing, the coalition has asked that we find a way in which to write a letter to the governor and to our representatives, first to the governor asking to increase in his bill, the EMS subsidy. Secondly, to give a shout out to particularly Representative Liz Lagarde and Senator Hochschild, they're the ones who sponsor these bills. They're kind of the big representatives for EMS up here in Northeast Minnesota, along with the others, Spencer Igo and Senator Farnsworth and others. But the sponsor of the bill, so just to send them a little note, to shout out, hey, thanks for keep moving forward, and we appreciate all the hard work that you're doing down there. And the last part is that we're maybe going to try to find a way to solicit some testimonials from those people who have had the unfortunate need for ALS service, and how that service provided them the health care that they needed in order to save their life or get them to a hospital in time. So all those things are in the works. So we ask the general public, if you have some time to give a shout out to your local legislator. Okay. Okay. There's a couple other items that will be coming up on the legislative priority. The city has $1.7 million in a bonding request, and that's for our HVAC and city hall upgrades. That money could be used potentially for to help with steam conversion to offset some of the costs there. And as Britt said earlier, the steam conversion in the downtown area, there's been some discussion about that with a variety of stakeholders about how we can seek some additional funding through the legislature to help offset the cost associated for steam conversion in the downtown area, not only the businesses, but residential that are affected as well. So that's moving forward, and Britt's in part of that discussion as well. So, and Greg French, our Director of Public Utilities. So that being said, does anybody else have anything they'd like to bring up before we adjourn for this evening? Seeing none, thank you, everybody, for attending the council meeting, for listening at home. We will adjourn to our next city council meeting, which is scheduled for Tuesday, April 9th, 2024, 5:30 p.m. here in the council chambers. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a great evening. Stay safe, drive safe. We stand adjourned. 6:30 p.m.